All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Rich Walsh alongside Andrew Fillipponi. And if you need a roof, make sure you call Ireland Contracting. They're the best in the business. 1-800-NEW-ROOF. Easy number to remember. If I need a roof, I would call them. I'm sure Andrew would call them too. 1-800-NEW-ROOF. Give us at 412-575-2600. And we want to talk about the Buccos right now. Is it sustainable? 24-20, all these injuries. Do they have to go out and get a guy like Dallas Keuchel? We just talked about that would provide some excitement around here. Like the Chris Archer thing that happened at the trade deadline. I think they need this. They need some kind of boost of energy. 24-20, I think fans are still out there, and they're still skeptical of this team and this organization, the ownership, the management. And if they would do something like this, that would be a big boost of energy to the city.
I mean, let's look at their offseason. They made smart moves, but they didn't make big moves. You know, the Melky Cabrera thing, I think, has been a godsend for a team that knew they were going to be without Polanco for at least a month, and then they had the Dickerson injury happen. He's been a good situational hitter. He hasn't embarrassed himself in the outfield defensively. He's come up clutch at times. So I think that was a smart, under-the-radar signing by this team. We're seeing that with Jordan Lyles in a big, big way, where he's been the most effective starting pitcher that was signed in the offseason. But, you know, you've given yourself financial flexibility, is the term they like to throw around. So use it. You're lucky to be 24-20 right now, and take advantage of it. It just so happens, and this is a once-in-a-kind-of-generation thing, that a Cy Young Award-winning pitcher is still available in late May.
Yeah.
So go get him.
You know, Bob Nutting did tell me in spring training that if they were in contention, they would go out and spend the money if they had to.
Well, here they are.
Here's their opportunity to do that. So let's see if they do something like that. You know, I think it's unrealistic, but it's nice to talk about if they want to be serious contenders.
Hey, I thought the Archer thing was unrealistic.
I did too,
because they had never parted with big-time prospects. That seemed to be heresy for them, something that did not ideologically fit their philosophy and how they wanted to go about their business as a small market team. But they took a risk there. My concern with that, Richie, is that going to scare them off from making bold moves in the future? That big trade blew up in their face. And now, from now on, they're going to say, well, we can't trade our prospects because look at how the Chris Archer trade turned out.
Yeah, I liked it then, though. Glasnow would have never had success here. I mean, I talked to him that entire year. That is on them. But he wasn't going to ever have success in Pittsburgh after he failed.
Well, how about Meadows?
Meadows would have. I think they completely screwed up with Meadows last year, sending him back down when he was producing. They should have just kept him in the lineup like they are with Brian Reynolds right now.
I agree. I thought it was worse when they kept him up and they tried to play 4 outfielders in 3 spots, and he was in and out of the lineup, and I thought that completely, you're right, I thought that totally messed him up.
I hope they don't do that with Reynolds. Let's go out to Dave out in Bedford. What's up, Dave? Dave, you there?
Yes.
Hi, Dave, you're on the air.
Hi. Hey, hi, Rich. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. I just wanted to say real quick, Rich, I grew up in Pittsburgh, and I left when the steel mills went down, and I just love every night when you guys are on at 10:35 to get to go back home, you know. And the other thing I wanted to say about the Pirates, it was Josh Bell. That's a big topic now, but I think he's doing great in the field, and I haven't seen home runs like that since Willie Stargell and Bobby Robertson.
Well, it's hard to – thanks a lot, Dave. I appreciate the call. I don't want to compare him to Willie Stargell just yet, but he has 14 home runs. He didn't have that last year. He didn't have 44 RBIs until late July last year, and he has 44, which leads the majors, and he's a big reason. They are 24-20 right now, no doubt about that. I think a lot of things – I think his big reason for failure last year is he was trying to learn a position, and he was struggling in the field, and I think that weighed on him at the plate.
Well, I think he was in his own head. And you got to remember, too, last year they're trying to replace Andrew McCutchen. There's a big void on that team. And I bet guys like Bell felt the pressure to go above and beyond. And I think you lose your leader, you lose your captain, the face of your team. I think that affects you. What you see with Josh Bell, Richie, is a lesson for them in spending more and getting more. Because they convinced him as a second-round pick out of high school. He told every team I wasn't going to sign. But they took advantage of a loophole back then where you could throw extra money at, draft picks, and they convinced him to sign. Now, baseball has ended that practice. Everybody has slotted in now. But that was a case where the Pirates back in the day with the drafting where they would actually spend a little bit of money to try to boost up and build up their minor league system.
They tried to do that with Mark Appel, too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What did they give?
Appel was a first pick. Maybe like Stetson Ali was one of those guys.
But Appel fell to, what, 5 or 8 with them? And they
right,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
right. But he wouldn't sign, but they tried to throw money at him, yeah.
But Josh Bell, I think they gave him like a $5 million signing bonus or something like
Which
that.
Is huge.
So it is huge for a second rounder. Back out of the phone lines. Let's go out to Bob out in Clearfield. What's up, Bob? How you doing?
Hey, gentlemen. Hey, thank you. Perhaps you could explain something to me about the arbitration system works. It's my understanding that if you don't bring a guy up until like around middle of June or so, then the entire year is not applicable to the arbitration timeline. It's not considered a service year.
Yep.
That being the case, if you look, you said Tucker, Martin, Reynolds, DeRapa, all these guys are calling up ahead of that. I imagine bottom line Bobby is right now crying it as caviar for all that extra years that's being lost. So perhaps you could fill me on how the specifics of how this thing works.
Well, that date fluctuates, right, Andrew? It's not set in stone.
But you're safe in June.
You're safe in June.
And that's when Tyone got called up, and that's when Garrett Cole made his debut. And if you look historically, their big prospects have been held back past like the 60-game mark of the season.
So they could potentially, I wouldn't be surprised if they sent Cole Tucker back if Eric Gonzalez gets healthy. Or they count on Kevin Newman. What about Brian Reynolds? I hope they don't do what they did with Austin Meadows. And
I'm a little bit more lukewarm on Reynolds than a lot of people are because he's been, if you go by the numbers, he's killed left-handed pitching, and he has not done well against righties. And he's a switch hitter. So to me, I think he projects ideally as a guy who fits into a platoon. To me, I think he's the ideal fourth outfielder. I would not want to jettison, say, and I'm not the biggest Corey Dickerson fan, but I wouldn't want to give up on Dickerson to create a space for Reynolds to play every day. Because I think they need power, and Dickerson has proven in the past that he can hit almost 30 home runs in a season.
And you'll have to make a decision. What do you do when Corey Dickerson comes back? You're not going to keep 5 outfielders, are you? Because Melky Cabrera has to stay.
I mean, make Melky Cabrera like your Matt Joyce, where he's your pinch hitter extraordinaire. That's what I would do. I think Chisenhall has to play third base. I think that's one thing. I don't know what he's doing in the minor leagues right now. But based on how it's been a black hole third base for them. They've got no production there, and that's where Chisenhall has the majority of his at-bats. He's been a third baseman by trade. Richie, he's better than Gung and this Elmore guy they got up there right now. I think they got to give him a shot at that position.
Well, we got to take a break right now, but I do want to get into the youth movement. If it was me, I would bring up Brian Hayes right now and start him at third base and just go with that from now on. But I want to get your opinion on that, but we have to take a break. Back in a couple minutes.
Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.